I encourage everyone to take a moment and breathe and take a tea cheers with a Jiri tea. A Jiri tea recognizes the beauty in shared stories and shared opportunities. Ajiri sources award-winning tea from Kenya, employs women in the region to handcraft the labels, and sends 100% of the profits back to the region to support orphan education. Save 10% on your order of Kenyan teas and coffee with the code BeautifullyHuman at ajiritea.com. AJIRIT.com. Tea mugs up. Hello and welcome to the Beautifully Human podcast. I'm Nick Sheesby. In this podcast, I speak with beautiful humans from all around the world, sharing with you their incredible stories, revealing the power in every human story, to spread love and humanity to a world that is in desperate need of it, to show that we can all connect in beautiful ways, no matter where we come from or what we look like. What you will find out is that we are all beautifully human. Let's all be beautifully human. All right, everybody, welcome in to another episode of the Beautifully Human podcast. Today, I am speaking with Dave Walsh, who is a disabled strongman, and his stories are amazing. It's just beautiful what he is doing in this world and the strength he has, not only in himself as a strongman, but in life in general. So check this out. Enjoy it. Rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Follow along on Spotify and on Instagram at the Beautifully Human Podcast. And most of all, enjoy this chat. So I like to start these off just with a big overarching question and let you control the narrative and then follow it through our conversation. So just tell me a story about your life, brother.
Yeah, man. So I was born and raised in Wales, in Newport, and at the age of 16, I left school with not a lot going for me. I couldn't sing or couldn't dance, so I decided to join the army. Joined the army. I spent 8 years in the forces. I travelled around. I did a tour of Iraq. I did all some fun places and some not so fun places, but whilst in the army, I met my wife, and we had children. We had 2 kids. So I spent 8 years in the army and decided that enough was enough. So not a fat lot of time, but enough time to kind of sort me out. And then in the army, I was a very active person. I loved sports and anything to do with running, or I did a lot of boxing. I did a lot of football, a lot of rugby. And my last post, I was actually on an adventure training team where I used to take people hiking up and down mountains every day. And you think it sounds fun, and it does sound fun, but it's hard. No one tells you how hard it's going to be, because
Sure.
you go up a mountain once for one day, and then come back down. You've got a fresh set of people the next day with a fresh set of legs, and you've got to do it all again for the next like 3 weeks. And you're like, oh gosh, it's just, I'll catch up with you. Meet me at the bottom. It's that way.
Yeah.
But no, it's good experience, good fun. But then decided it was time for me to leave the army. My wife wanted to go to university as well, and we used to travel around a lot. And I wasn't home a lot with that job, because always up and down mountains. And we decided time for me to leave. I left, and I kind of fell into a bit of in a bit of a rut, to be honest, because it was quite hard transitioning from military life to civilian life, especially because I was 16 years old when I joined.
Sure.
That's all I knew from. I didn't know adult life really, because I left school at 16 and then joined an institution that told you what time to eat dinner, what time to wake up, what time to piss. It told you everything, man. And then
Yeah.
to leave on the Friday, and then on the Monday morning ask my wife what time can I go to the toilet? No, but but it was hard. So I even tried signing back on to join again, but it was a time of redundancy, so they said no. And I'm quite glad they did now, to be honest, because I'm okay in life. But in the meantime, I had nothing really to grasp, to hold on to. So I started going to the gym. I gained a bit of weight, and I wasn't going to run again. I did my steps. I did my time in the army running. So
Yeah.
I decided to hit the weights, and I thought I was quite strong. I thought it was okay. I remember lifting, I think maybe about 100 kilos for the first time, a deadlifting, and looking around, and like everybody noticed me. This is a lot of weight, and getting stronger from then. And then I found a passion in strongman in 2012, which I absolutely loved strongman. It was by chance as well. I was probably giving it the big licks to my wife, saying, I'm really strong. I'm probably the strongest in Chippenham. Adriana, who my wife is called, probably the strongest in Chippenham. And unknown to me, her cousin actually did strongman, and she ran into him and said, "Oh yeah, Dave wants to give it a go," and he signed me up to my first contest. And I think out of a field of 20 people, I came in the bottom five, maybe, which I didn't care, because I had such a good day and I loved the preparation for it, and I just couldn't wait for my next one. So I was from that point, I knew all I would do is strongman. So I competed for the next few years at some decent. I did get quite strong. I was always natural. I was always drug tested. So I entered the drug tested federation, and I got to the British finals at 1 year, and I was quite happy with that. And that was actually in 2014, but that was the same year that I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, MS. So I got that diagnosis through. I was training a hell of a lot. I was working a hell of a lot. I worked about 90 hours a week doing security while my wife was at university. So I was the breadwinner. I was working two jobs, sometimes three jobs, where my jobs would almost overlap. So I'd finish one job and have a few hours off, and then go to the next job, and then a few hours off and go to the next job. So my life was pretty non-stop, to be honest. And my right arm went numb, and at the time didn't think much of it. I was joking about with my friends, just doing dude shit. Punch me in the arm, I can't feel anything. I'm thinking I was Iron Man or something. And it was probably about a month after that I thought, well, it's spread from my right arm. It's spread to my body and then my legs, and eventually it was pretty much everywhere, including my face. And I said to my wife, like, it's a bit weird. I think I should get checked out. And she was like, yeah, you probably should. Um, and then I phoned my doctor, my general practitioner, who the first thing he said to me was, "Do you think you're having a stroke?" I was like, "Gosh, it's been about a month, so I hope not, because it's a
Yeah.
really long stroke if it is."
Yeah.
But he couldn't button what it was, so he sent me to the hospital, where I had a week full of tests. I had MRI scans, which is isn't that fun when you're a big guy trying to get in a small
Sure.
tube. Yeah, it's like trying to fit your hand in a Pringle tube. It's just not happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then and then I had a lumbar puncture, which again isn't fun.
Oof.
It's like a 9-inch needle going into your spine to draw fluid, and it took the whole day, because I had two doctors trying to syringe my spine fluid out. And after about the sixth attempt, because I was a big guy, they couldn't get it, because there was too much, quite proud about it. There was too much muscle in the way. So
Nice.
that's it was a downfall at the time, though, really.
Sure. Yeah.
So they were trying to pull it out, and after about six attempts, they managed to get it out, and I was so happy, because maybe about 6 hours of doing it, I was just in agony. And I was in they give you an injection, so you didn't really feel it, but you could feel the needle scraping across your spine, and it just wasn't pleasant.
Mm-mm.
And after he pulled it out, he must have, like, punched the air in happiness, because he ended up dropping the syringe and it went everywhere. So there was blood everywhere. There was my spine fluid everywhere. There was tears everywhere after that. So we
Oh my God.
ended up calling it a day there. It was like he asked me if I could come back, and they could do it under X-ray. So I was, yeah, whatever. So, but the funny thing was, between this lumbar puncture and then booking another lumbar puncture for under X-ray, I had an appointment with my now consultant neurologist in the same hospital. And I went to see him, and he was like, "Yeah, you don't need a lumbar puncture. We know you've got MS. Your uncle's got MS. Your grandmother's got MS. Your MRI showed lesions of MS. So yeah, you probably shouldn't have gone for it in the first place." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, it was a nice story to tell people anyway. So cheers, mate."
Oh man.
And yeah, he diagnosed me that day, which was, do you know, it was about now. It was about April or May in 2014 that I was diagnosed with MS. And at first, it didn't overly affect me, because my legs my legs were affected, to be honest, straight away. I've always had problems with my legs since 2015, maybe, where it was a bit of pain and it was a bit of weakness, but I was still able to do strongman. I think because I was already a strongman, I was that much stronger than the average Joe. It helped me continue to be able to do the things that I wanted to do. My arms always been numb. It's never really come back, and sometimes if I use it too much, it claws up. But apart from that, it was okay for a little while. I was continuing strongman. It was about 2016 that it really affected me. I was struggling walking. I had to quit strongman. I quit. I walked away from strongman very very slowly, and assisted by walking sticks or people holding me up. Aids, but my wife's called it aids, so aids all around.
Yeah.
Yeah. but but yeah, so it was a bit of a shit time from 2015-16 onwards for my strongman journey. But after I was diagnosed with secondary progressive, so now I can't walk. I take a few steps, and that's about it. I'm in a wheelchair full time, basically, and I have problems with my hands, and I have some cognitive issues. When I get tired, I struggle to speak. My feet are constantly in pain, and my legs are constantly in pain, to the point where I've asked a pain clinician if they could take my legs away, because if they weren't here anymore, they'd in my eyes, the pain would be gone. They'd be, because at the minute they're just weighted lumps anchoring me down. I want to fly, but they're holding me down. But
Yeah.
so he said no, it's not going to help, because the pain's not actually in your legs, it's in your spine.
Mm.
Because I've got many scars on my spine due to MS. But it was in 2018 I decided, I'm done with being I'm done with holding back, I guess. So I decided to get into disabled strongman again, and from the first year I came third in Britain. 2000 and oh actually it was 2017, not 18. I came third in Britain 2000, and Britain's strongest disabled man in 2017. And then in 2018, I took the year away to kind of get used to being as disabled as I was, because I kind of never accepted it. And we had a death in the family that kind of pushed me over the edge a bit. So I lost it, basically. And yeah, I took that year off to kind of focus on my disability in my family life, and it worked, because in 2019 I went back to strongman. I've retired from strongman about 5 times now. Every time,
Yeah.
every year I say to my mate who I train in the gym with, "That's it, I'm done with strongman now." And he looks at me, he's like, "No, you're not. You're never
Yeah.
be done with strongman." Yeah, I probably won't be, but and then yeah, I decided in 2019 I came third in Britain again, and all this was, I've never really, since becoming disabled, being consistent with training, because my MS plays quite a big factor in what I can and can't do with fatigue, or even just getting around. But in 2020, I kind of took it serious. I don't know if that's because of lockdown and I've got my own equipment anyway in my garden, but I was taking it really, really serious. I was really good at training, and it competed in the world's strongest disabled man in 2020 in December, and came second in the world and first in Britain. So
Hell yeah.
that was a cool achievement. So in a nut, add all that with a bit of a beard and bit of long hair, and that's me.
Man,
And then
wow.
yeah,
That is a hell of a journey.
yeah,
And I'm just
it's a lot. Yeah, it is a cool journey. I mean, um, looking back on it now, it was at the time you think that it couldn't go any different, but it kept spiraling different courses and different routes. But ultimately, I look at now is I've I've still got the same dream as in 2012 when I started strongman. I mean, the dream was sometimes pushed aside, or it was in a bit of a blur, but it was just a different route to get there. Instead of taking the steps, I took the accessibility route.
yeah.
Yeah.
Man, first off, the story about that spinal
Oh
through
mate.
your spine, that's like something that horror movies are made of. And
Yeah,
then to
yeah.
be dropped, I would have been like, God damn
I
it, dude.
I couldn't see it because obviously they were doing it at my back.
Sure.
My wife was in front of me. She was watching it, and she was just like, when she saw the needle, she was like, it's fucking this big, and I was like,
Oof.
don't fucking tell me, mate.
Yeah.
And then it was yeah, she said it was like something out of a horror movie, because there was blood everywhere where they kept pulling out. They kept pulling out blood, so I must have lost a lot of blood that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. And when he dropped it, I could hear the disappointment in his eyes.
Yeah.
You could, because that was it. That was his. Out of the two doctors and the nurse that was in the room, that was his moment, and he went to grab it, and he just messed it up basically.
Oh, I can't even imagine after all that time and all that struggle to go, yeah.
Yeah, because they were sweating as well. Like
Oh,
it wasn't an easy ride for them. So it wasn't
right.
an easy. I was just laying there, and I was struggling. So
Holy
imagine for them to be doing it, it must have been, yeah, it was
man.
crazy.
So, for anybody listening that doesn't know about MS, what exactly is MS?
Yeah, so MS is it's a condition that affects your brain, and your spinal cord. It affects the signals that come down to different parts of your body through the nerves. So everyone's got nerves, and everyone's got an outer protection of the nerve. If you were to think of it like a plug socket, you would plug your socket into the wall, and if you've got a lamp, for example, the brain would be power, where you flick the button on and it comes up, and the signal would be going to, say, your arm, which we'll call the lamp. So when you click go, you're expecting it to move your arm, or to turn that lamp on. But with your nerves, you've got this outer protection, which is almost like a plastic protection coating the nerve to protect it from everything bad and good in your body. So it's called your myelin sheath. And people with multiple sclerosis, their myelin sheath is weaker than most. So it kind of, as things knock into it, like, different blood cells, or different things, it basically, yourself attacks this myelin sheath, and it chips it away, and eventually you might be left with an open bit of nerve. And if that bit of nerve gets attacked again, then it's going to affect your, well, wherever that nerve was supposed to be going. there are no clear symptoms of what MS is. The symptoms can be everything basically, because your nerves and your brain does everything in your body. I know people with MS who have gone blind, and but equally got their sight back in a few weeks. So just
Wow.
because you have well, there's a thing in MS called relapse and remitting MS, where you might have an attack, so you could go blind and then the attack goes away and you get your sight back. I know people who have been paralyzed from waist down, is not even able to move their legs for a number of weeks or even months. I know, but equally, I've known people with MS who have had one clear symptom. And sorry, my voice is bursting.
No worries.
Not sure. I think it's mine. But equally, I've known people with MS who have had, say, one symptom when they first got diagnosed, so it could be a numb finger or something, and never had any symptoms for 30-40 years after that. So there are two types of MS. They've got relapse remitting, which your symptoms come and your symptoms go and come and go, or just come once and don't come again, or they could come once every few weeks and then die down for a week and then back in, back out. It's as hectic as that. But there's also a second part of MS, which is called secondary progressive MS, which is when your MS is at a point where you've been attacked so many times in the same place, it's never going to get better. So these scars are here to stay, and it'll just never get better. So I'm lucky enough to have secondary progressive MS. So what I've got will never get any better. And I say I'm lucky enough because for me, having relapse and remitting MS and the unknown of what's going to come and what's going to go was it's a bit crap, really, I think. But equally, knowing that I'm not really going to walk again is equally as crap, but at least I know.
Sure.
If you know, yeah. So I've got secondary progressive. My symptoms are I've got very weak legs, which is quite ironic because I used to squat quite heavy weights, and I've struggled to take a few steps, like I said, which again is ironic because I used to walk mountains, and
Yeah.
but on top of that, I get hand issues. So if I'm typing for the whole day, my hand will claw up and kind of like seize up, I guess, and it becomes redundant for the evening or the night or whatever. And my speech also goes if I get tired. So when I've been at work for the full day, or if I've been socializing for the full day, because even that could take it out of you. My speech will go where they call it word confusion, where we could just be having a talk about our favorite brand of dishwashers, and we love this chat on dishwashers, but for some reason I can't get the word dishwasher out anymore.
Mm.
I know what I want to say. But instead of dishwasher coming out, something like space rocket will come out, or something really random like that. And
Sure. Yeah.
it is funny as hell, man. But I went through a stage of having it for a good few months. With every conversation I had, I couldn't speak, and it was the kids find it funny, and it is funny. So you can't like tell them to stop laughing because
Sure.
it's quite funny, but equally it's bloody annoying when you can't express yourself. I think out of all the symptoms I've had, that has probably been the worst. And on top of that, you can't write what you want because my hand was a bloody all over the
Yeah.
place. So I was like, just leave me to die here.
Yeah.
Wait. But
Man.
yeah, that's in a nut what MS is. They don't know why you get MS. It's not that it runs in your family, although I think you're 30 times more likely to get it if someone in your family's got it, which people in my family has it. And there's no cure for MS. If you've got relapse remitting MS, there are drugs that can help you so you don't get as many relapses, but there's nothing to stop MS fully or get rid of the MS, unfortunately, right now. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's put our fingers together for science.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very hopeful with science. Um, yeah, that's strange. a friend of mine, he used to live next door. He moved back to Michigan. He messaged not too long ago, and he had back pain. Just nothing crazy, but annoying enough. And he went when he was in Michigan, and he's an artist, so he cuts stencils a lot. So he was thinking it was just because he's been hunched over, and he ended up finding out that he had MS
Oh,
recently. And so he was, I don't know what stage what he's in, but I when you were speaking about it, I was like, okay, yeah, so he had just had this back pain and finally just went and got it checked out, and then it turned up that he had it as well.
yeah, that's the
And so
thing. I mean, people can you could have one thing and not get it checked out, and then 15 years later something else pops up, but you've always had MS,
hmm,
but you never got it checked out, and you never know
yeah.
until you actually do the MRI tests to look inside your your mind. And yeah, so it is a crazy old disease, really.
Yeah. And I mean, I do understand as when you said it's I imagine just getting to the point of saying this is where I'm at. Yes, it's not fun, but I know this is where it's going to be, because I can't even imagine having it go away and then being like, "Oh shit, everything's good," and then a month later it's gone again. I wouldn't
Yeah,
want that like back and forth between the
yeah,
two.
I think the problem is as well. I was in constant pain. Well, I still am in constant pain all the time, and I was struggling, and I almost felt like no one would believe me if I didn't have this because it was for so long. Um, it, it was, I think maybe in 2018, I think it was that I got diagnosed with secondary progressive, but it wa it wa I was in pain for that so long, and the pain was that intense, and equally I was struggling to walk a few steps or anything like that. I kind of wanted it to be secondary progressive so that I could kind of like get this burden off my back that it's going to go away, because in the back of my mind I thought this is here to stay because it's been that long. um, and yeah, that's kind of it. So it was a bittersweet
Sure.
finding out that it was secondary progressive.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't even imagine how you were feeling. So tell me a little bit about when you found out about it. What were your thoughts? Like,
So when I first got diagnosed with MS, I was very much, I didn't know what this disease was. Even though my uncle has MS, my grandmother had it. For my grandmother, I just always, she had a walking stick or a wheelchair, but to me, she was old, so
sure.
she needed that all the time. But with my uncle, I didn't see him enough to have it in my mind all the time. Even though we were close growing up, it wasn't until I moved away in the army that it started affecting him anyway.
Mm,
So I didn't come home as much because I've had my own family by this point, and so I didn't know enough about MS to kind of. Oh, I didn't know enough about it. So when he told me this is MS, I was just kind of like, oh gosh, not overly sure what it is. Or I started googling it, and I think Google is the worst doctor out there, really.
yeah.
Google, yeah, Google's great, but Google's a really bad doctor. He can diagnose you with all sorts, and straight away I kind of thought this is probably it. I said to my wife, I think I broke down and cried in the car. I said to my wife, you should probably just leave me now because I'm just going to be no good to anyone in the future. Um, she left me for a while because she thought I'd be no, she didn't. She stayed. Yeah, yeah, she was just like, oh, shut up your plonker, and we'll get through this together. But not knowing what we'd need to get through was the thing.
Yeah.
So at the time I was still numb, but I wasn't in pain. I could still walk, but it was a little bit slower, but I could still do all my strongman stuff. I could still be the guy I was the guy I was at that point. So not knowing what you're getting into was a bit of a head twist, I suppose, because when stuff you automatically assume when something goes wrong with your body when you've got MS, you automatically assume it's MS, but it could be anything. It could be the
Yeah.
way you slept, but you'd wake up thinking, oh, is that my neck gone, or is that this gone? So it's kind of living in a fun house for a few years, and then kind of researching it properly and getting to know some people with MS. Speaking to my uncle quite a lot, because my uncle, he's been a massive shoulder to lean on, I suppose, because he's been through it himself. And it's funny because our symptoms were the same, our ages were basically the same, and
Wow.
yeah, it's quite funny actually. Well, it's not funny, but it's a story. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and then it kind of it was always there in the back of my mind that I've got MS, even though that I could go off and do things. I wouldn't tell people because I was a bit ashamed to admit that I was disabled, because I
Sure.
didn't think I needed it. I needed the disabled ticket straight away, which was fine for a while. But then when I did start to struggle, a lot of people didn't understand why, because I hadn't been open with everybody about my struggles, and I would struggle in silence, where my wife would know, or my immediate family would know, but people at work wouldn't know that I'd fallen over quite a few times at work that day, or they wouldn't know that I'm sitting. I'm going to work from home because I can't do the stairs to get up to the office, or something, or even because I was I looked like I was always an active dude,
Sure.
even because if I would be walking with someone and they'd be like, oh, let's do the stairs, I'd be like, oh no, I'm going to get a lift, and they'd be like, oh, you're just being lazy. Even stuff like that is, people don't know what they're talking about, because I wasn't being lazy, but I would go and do the stairs with them, and then I'd struggle for the rest of the day or
Mm.
something. And it wasn't until I think I had a bit of a moment, probably a bit of a diva moment in 2018, where I kind of lost it all. I wasn't a nice person to be around, even from my family. Not, I wasn't abusive or anything, but it was just quite snappy. They had to walk on eggshells around me because I was so sensitive about things, and it, we lived like that for a little while. And my wife's like, my wife's a mental health nurse, so
Mm.
she sees this shit all the time. So she was like, you're not right. You need to get yourself checked out with the doctor. You need to get yourself sorted, because at this point I was very much struggling with my MS, but my mental health side of having MS was affecting me more than my walking and stuff. So yeah, I went to see the doctor, and he gave me some special pills and some person to speak to, and I'm doing all right now.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a tough old road, really, but I think I'm okay with it now.
Yeah. I mean, especially like you said, struggling in silence. So people outwardly see you as this person,
Mhm.
yet you have this going on that they just don't
Yeah,
know about, which I think is just across the board. People need to pay more attention to that.
yeah, and then people. No, sorry, and then people, when they would see me using walking stick or something, they'd be like, because to them it happened overnight, but to me, I've been I've been leaning against the wall for a few years now, so it hasn't been overnight for me. It's been like a
Right.
whole year in the coming. So for everyone, I still get it now. People are like, "Oh my god, it happened so quick." It's like, what? It didn't. I've had MS since 2014, so it
Yeah.
hasn't happened quick. It's been quite a slow process, actually. But and yeah, like you say, people kind of need to pay more attention to the bigger picture around.
Yeah. Um yeah, it's something I think about quite a lot. I mean, with that and like with COVID and all this,
Yeah,
like you never know like internally what someone has if you pay attention to it.
Yeah.
but outwardly as well. I mean, you just don't know what's going on, you
Yeah.
know? Like, so when your friends and coworkers and colleagues started hearing about it, how did they react with you?
A lot better than I thought they would, really. So my immediate friends, they knew about MS because I was around them when I was diagnosed. So I was telling them. But I suppose my co-workers I was more worried about, because they didn't know about me, about my MS, or even having MS. So I hid it for as long as I could, but then I had to say to my manager, I was like, look, I'm struggling here. I've got MS, and sorry I didn't tell you sooner, but it's my disability, and I didn't want to. I wanted to own it for as long as I could, but now I'm willing to share. And do you know, as soon as he didn't know what MS was,
Sure.
so he outwardly said, I don't know what MS is. So um, he said he was going to go away and look at it, as in what it was. And I was like, yeah, cool. So but I told him what my issues were straight away, and straight away he was like, right, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll get everything we need to keep you on board. We'll you can work from home, you can work from wherever you want. And then he went away and he actually learned about MS, which was cool of him. And he sat with me and he was like, shit, dude, this is pretty serious. I was like, yeah, it's not a cough or a cold, but
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
it's and then it was only because it was getting worse and worse that I had to tell him, because I didn't
Right.
see a way out of it. And this is before I was diagnosed with secondary progressive, because I was struggling that much. And then he kind of gave it to me to own. He was like, we won't tell anyone unless you want to. Because I work for quite a large company. I work for Siemens, and
Hmm.
they're huge. In our office, there must be about 2,000 people,
Wow.
but we all have teams within teams. So he was like, you tell whoever you want to tell. I won't tell anyone. He said we might have to tell our immediate working force, because you might want to lean on them for things like getting your coffee and stuff like that, which I definitely did,
Yeah.
because I wasn't getting it. And then yeah, so I told them, and they were like, shit, son, why didn't you tell us sooner? I was like, "Oh, I don't know, because I had I was always afraid of how people would judge me. And even when I was going out in my mobility scooter, if we were going to town or going somewhere, I would never go out in my hometown, or where I live now, town, in my well, I'd never go out in my hometown, because I didn't want people to see me doing a long walk in with my walking sticks, or with my mobility scooter or mobility aids. So I would just avoid it. And if we were in the next town or something, and I had to go, then I would always worry that everyone was looking at me, because I was too young to be in a mobility scooter, or too good looking, or too big or something. But it wasn't until it was actually a few months ago, I was doing an article for someone, and I was talking to them, and it kind of just clicked with me that I wasn't I was judging these people for judging me, but they
Hmm.
weren't judging me. I was just judging them. So, and it just clicked like that. And so I would think the whole world was judging me, but no one actually cared, really.
Yeah.
It's not that they didn't care; they probably did care, but it didn't affect them. They didn't care if I was Dave stood up or Dave sat down. I was still Dave. So that my biggest worry was that I wasn't going to be Dave anymore. But I think I'm Dave plus some now, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And what a way to reframe your thinking on that too, of
Mm.
that you're judging what they were judging. Because I
Yeah.
have to imagine, I mean, a lot of people that I've spoken with have had moments where it's like I worked really hard to open the door with my chair, and then someone just like ran in past, and it's like, what the fuck? So there has to, he's had moments like that, but also like that is that has to be a way because you're getting used to this. It's something brand new, and then thinking about what other people are
Yeah,
thinking, and they might not necessarily think anything of it,
yeah,
or yeah.
yeah.
So
And I remember saying this to my wife a few weeks ago when I thought of it. I was so proud of myself because I was like, I finally got it. I thought people were judging me, but they weren't judging me. I was judging them. And she was like, I've been saying this for years. I was like, "Oh, why didn't you make me listen?"
yeah, just slap me a little harder next time.
Yeah, definitely. But no, they weren't judging, and yeah, I think the the worry was that they would see me as less of a person, I
Mm,
suppose, because I was in a chair basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Um, so now with your what does a typical workout for you look like?
Well, it's been crazy, obviously, because of coronavirus. It's been a bit relaxed, I suppose. Late this year, anyway. Um, but usually I'll train 5 or 6 days a week. Usually in the mornings. Well, throughout the week is in the mornings. It's between 6:30 and 8:30, and I split my training. So I'll do chest one day, shoulders, and then I'll do back, and then I'll do shoulders twice a week, and then probably back again. And I will kind of so for the first half of the week I'll train more repetitions and less weight, but then later on in the week I'll go heavier for less repetitions, and then on the weekend I'll always have a strongman training day, whether I'm doing a seated deadlift or log press, or if I've been training in my garden doing this for quite a few months now, but sometimes I'll go out to a gym, and it could take 5 hours, it could take 6 hours. I could be out for the whole day, so it's quite a selfish thing on the weekend. But in the week, I make sure I do it in the mornings. So like I get up early and go to the gym rather than missing family time, so my wife can still go exercise, or so I can kind of like ignore my children there rather than ignoring them somewhere else, because you always get more pleasure saying no to their faces rather than no to a text message. So
Right.
it's kind of like that, and it does vary depending how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling quite tired, I'll go a bit lighter. I haven't been one to skip training sessions in the past, so I kind of, if even if I'm feeling really tired with my MS, I kind of make sure I have the energy to go to training in the morning. So I think that's a good as well why I train in the mornings, because I know I'll have the energy. I'll
Sure.
be able to use it there rather than I put less effort in at work or something.
Yeah. And I like that you have that precedent with yourself where I know at the end of the night, I usually do my little workout session right before I'm about to head to bed. I'll do yoga and then I'll do a little session. And I always do it late because it gives me a challenge of I've been through the whole day and I know I'll be tired and it might be 2 a.m, but I'm still going to make myself do it. So I like that no matter what, you're like, I will do something. I will make myself do that.
Yeah, I think because I'm very motivated that now, well, even more so since coming second in the world. I'm very motivated to make sure I try and at least equal that, or even better at this year, because I almost feel like people are kind of like leaning on me to do it. I think that uh, I've had so many messages of, you're making me get out to the gym, you're making me move, or something, that I want to do it for everyone who's kind of took the time out to say things like that to me, because it just motivates me that much more.
Yeah, and that has to be cool to see that motivation um, moving into other people.
Yeah, it was a few weeks ago. We had so all the children who went back to school, they dressed up as their favorite athletes, and there was actually a boy called Ollie who I've never met Ollie before. He actually dressed up as me. He was in a wheelchair. He didn't just go in the wheelchair for the day just to mock me. He was actually in a wheelchair
Okay.
himself. So yeah, he dressed up as me, which where his mum put it on social media, and gosh, it blew my eyes out. The waterworks came out, and I was like, "Ah, I don't know how this couldn't affect anybody." But yeah, that message of motivation was that's enough to get me through the next few years probably. But
Yeah.
everything else on top of that is still great. So yeah, I've never once ever thought anybody would ever want to dress up like me because I've
Yeah,
got
man. How
got a bit.
cool.
Yeah. It was. I No matter who I tell, everyone always loves it and they always get goosebumps. And I can't wait for coronavirus to be fully gone so I can go and meet Ollie and
Yes.
yeah, do some dude shit with him.
Yeah, dude, that's so rad. Did he put a big beard on and everything?
No, his mum did apologize for the lack of beard, but I couldn't take that away from him.
Yeah, no, you got to give him credit where it's due. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
And yeah, I think that's so cool. I love how stories affect people and the strength and the power that comes from your story, from anybody's story really, that you may have no idea. Like you said, you never would have thought that somebody went as you for their favorite athlete day. But how cool to be putting that out, and you're doing it for you.
Mm,
It's a want that you have had for a very long time, and you're still doing this. And then
yeah.
there's people out there that are seeing you doing this, and they're going as you as favorite athlete day. That's
Yeah,
fucking
it's
awesome.
it's hard to believe because like you're saying, I'm essentially doing this for me. I've been doing strongman for years now, and I even if nobody was watching, I'd still do strongman. So to know that people are getting some good ones out of it, on top of that is brilliant. And what, take it they can take what they want from it. So I'm theirs.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I am very excited now to see whenever you get to meet Ollie. That'll be such
Yeah,
a what a amazing moment to have.
yeah. I'm gonna plan something cool. We could pull a car or something together, or we'll do something cool together.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I've been following your Instagram, and this shit that you do is bonkers. I mean, it's so impressive. I
Yeah,
it's
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 all.
incredible.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, like I said, I've been doing it for years now, and I've always had not always, but since starting, I had a passion to lifting weights, and I think since becoming disabled and owning my disability, I've kind of learned to kind of embrace it more and kind of to show that it doesn't matter that if you're still disabled or whatnot, you can still get out and get moving, and you can still have a passion, have a dream, have a goal to get to. And the the shit I do is to help me to get to that goal. But yeah, it's cool shit, to be fair. It's all right. I mean, to know you can pull a truck in a wheelchair is pretty cool.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think the plan is, when coronavirus is over, I want to go and do some cool shit that people wouldn't expect a disabled person to do. I think one of my plans this year is to bench press a car, the back end of a car, and I'm planning on competing in an able body competition in my wheelchair. So I won't be able
amazing.
to do. I won't win, obviously, because I won't be able to do the events that you have to move for. But for the other events, I'm going to do it. But almost as like a showcase to disabled strongman, to show
Yeah,
that we're out here, come and look at us, because we don't get the platform
sure.
that even amateur competitions in strongman get. And I kind of think we shouldn't be on a stage with the world's strongest man. I think that's the elite of the elite, but we should be on a decent stage anyway.
For sure.
Yeah.
I agree. What is the community like in the disabled strongman and just the community of fitness in general?
Yeah. So it's, I didn't, and with the fitness community, I didn't know how much they would get on with not get on, but I didn't know how much they would appreciate the disabled community in the fitness industry, but they do, and it's great. Like, you're always getting random people who are like able-bodied athletes following you and supporting you, and even saying, if you can do that, then I've got no excuse, and I'll go and do this, which is great. And we all lean on each other, especially I've got a few sponsors now who didn't know about disabled athletes before, and I, on the back of social media, contacted me, and they were like, we'll, can we work with you? We want to help promote disabled fitness, disabled strength, and then we'll work together and we'll give you some free shirts. I was like, yeah, of course, I'll
Yeah,
take as much
great.
free stuff as you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the strongman community, the disabled strongman community is fantastic. I mean, if if I don't need help from anyone. I think I'm not being big headed or anything, but I've been doing strongman for quite a while, so I kind of know my lifts and I know what to do. But if you need help from somebody, then you'll just post it, and then someone will contact you. For example, here's a great example actually, is that on Facebook I just put a video out there, I think, of one of my World's Strongest Man contests, and someone contacted me who had ALS disease,
Mm.
and he said he was waiting to die. He always wanted to try strongman. Did I know anyone who? Oh, could I help him? And he was actually in Texas, and I was like, oh, dude, I'm in the UK. Let me see what I can do. I didn't know anyone strongman in America, disabled wise. I didn't know them to talk to properly, but I contacted our UK strongmen group, and one person was like, "Yeah, this dude, he lives in America. Contact him. He's really resourceful." So I contacted this dude, and straight away, like within about 5 minutes, this dude contacted me back and said, "Hell yeah, I'll help out. Where does this guy live?" And it worked out that he lived like 10 miles away from him.
Wow.
So he went out and they met up and they did a bit of strongman shit, and yeah, and that's a community there, isn't it?
Yeah. That's
And I didn't know this guy, he didn't know me, and I didn't know that guy. None of us knew each other, but we all had a mutual love for lifting heavy stuff. And
yeah.
this guy got to, I don't know his status now, but he got to do a bit of strongman stuff, which was his goal.
Yeah. Man, that's just so I love that. I love how it can be like that nowadays. As much
Yeah,
as technology is I try to push it away, it's like this that wouldn't happen if we didn't have it. It's like you email
yeah,
this person, he goes, and then they're 10 miles away from each other, and then they get to go do some cool shit together.
yeah,
How
yeah.
rad.
It's
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 amazing.
crazy, and do you know what? Social media is a bad thing, but it's also a really good thing. I
Yeah,
think it's about using it properly and using it sensibly, because you can, the way we've met now
yeah,
is, 10 years ago it would have never been the case.
right.
But yeah, I think it's great, but it's also it's also dangerous, isn't it? But
For sure. But I
yeah,
mean, in Ollie's case, it's fantastic because he gets to find his athlete that he wants to be like.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
that's so cool. You
And
know,
he could tell me about it as well, so it affected me as well. So yeah, I'm grateful that his mum put it, or was even comfortable to put it on social media.
yeah,
And she was happy for me to share it as well.
yeah,
um I was just like, this is, I didn't know what words to put next to it, but I was like, this
yeah.
this is it,
That's
basically.
amazing. Well, and I just have to imagine as you're training able-bodied, disabled, no matter what you're doing in the realm of fitness or skateboarding or whatever you're in, when somebody dresses up as you for their favorite athlete day, that's just a cool moment in
It
general.
is. It is. I didn't know it was coming, and his mum put it on social media and tagged me in it. And I was at work actually at the time, and well, I work from home, but I was working at my desk, and I was just like, "What the fuck?" And then my
Yeah.
wife came in. She was like, "What?" I was like, "Just look at that." And she didn't know what to expect either, and I was like, this is some cool. This I just didn't. I lost my words, and she was just like, that's so nice, and because you never expect it,
Yeah.
even I mean, top footballers or top sports people, you expect it, but
Sure.
I'm a disabled dude who lifts heavy shit,
Yeah.
so I wasn't expecting anything like that, but it was so cool. It was so awesome.
I love that. I love that. And like you said, I do believe that there needs to be so much more exposure for that because it is impressive. It's still elite athlete shit.
Mm. Yeah,
It's just a
absolutely.
different avenue of it.
Yeah, and I
I mean,
think
I can't
sometimes
do
it
that shit.
I think sometimes it can be more, more impressive to get there because it kind of shows that you didn't stop. You didn't. You,
Right.
you might be there now lifting your weights or doing your day the thing in your competition on the day, but that you know that there's a story behind that person getting there. It's not just that he wanted to do this. He had to fight to do it, or she they had to fight to do it. They had to assess everything. It might have taken them longer or harder, but they've got to this position, and
Yeah.
that's exactly it. I didn't walk well. I did walk away from strongman. Like I said, I've retired 5 or 6 times now,
Yeah.
but I've always come back.
Yeah, it shows ultimate perseverance to me is what I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
It's just beyond the just getting to lifting heavy shit. That's a feat that takes a takes time, obviously. You know more than I do. But it's not just like, oh, okay, I'm able-bodied so I can go out and do that. I can't. I could train, but it's going to take me a long time. But also, it just shows massive perseverance to get there after a diagnosis of MS. I mean, that's just amazing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, people ask me what I'm most proud about in strongman, and apart from Ollie, I think that's my proudest athlete moment. But I think my proudest achievement is that I didn't actually just leave it when I was diagnosed. I didn't just
Yeah.
just leave it totally. I still competed. Because I think the main reason why I continued to compete was I didn't want to show my kids that because MS you're more likely to get it if it's in your family. I didn't want to show them that I was stopping. So if something, heaven forbid, they were to ever to get it, that they would have to stop.
Right.
I wanted to show them that you can have a life, you can do some cool stuff, and yeah, I think I'm on the road to doing that.
Yeah. And that's so beautiful. Um, all right, I'm going to shift gears a bit, and I asked this question to everybody. And you talked a little bit about travel. It was with your service, but um, if and obviously COVID restrictions aside, if I came to you and I said I got a plane ticket to anywhere in the world, where would you go to?
Oh gosh, it depends if it's just for me or if,
Oh
if
no
I got to
no,
take the kids.
it's like a big Oprah moment. It's
Oh
you
gosh.
and your everybody goes
Yeah, do you know
in my mind.
my parents live in Australia and we haven't been out to see them for a while because of coronavirus. So I think I'm looking forward to going back out to see them next year, hopefully. But equally, I'd rather go to a different part of Australia than not that I'm there in because I like them there, all right. But I'd like to go to a different part of Australia with them to kind of see because they live in Western Australia. I have been there a few times and it kind of gets a bit boring. I'd like to see a bit of Australia, but yeah. So I'd love to take the whole family and experience a proper Australian outback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be amazing. I would love to do that as well.
Yeah, I'll join you.
Yeah, fantastic. I'll meet you there when we can.
Yeah.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah, I've not been to Australia yet. I think what fascinates me about Australia is how, first off, just the people there that I've met are just amazing, bonkers, wonderful, just all of those in general. Um, but the amount of just crazy shit that can kill you there
Yeah,
fascinates me.
yeah, yeah. That's it. I mean, I've been there, I think, 3 times now, and I've taken the kids and wife twice. But it wasn't until the last time we went there that we actually saw a snake on the beach up in the flesh, and it was it was actually really close to where we were, where we set up our camp for the day, and it started going towards my cousin, and he didn't know what to do, so he started throwing sand at it. I was like, dude, no matter what you do, don't throw sand at a snake.
Yeah, you're just
But
gonna piss it off.
it was windy anyway, so it flew back in his face. So he didn't.
Yeah, good.
It didn't work, and then the snake ended up going. But apparently, it was the locals who were there as well saw it, and they were like, "Yeah, that's a pretty poisonous snake. You want to stay away from that one." Oh
Yeah.
gosh! But that's the only time we've ever saw anything.
Oof.
Even spiders and that we haven't seen any.
Yeah.
It's quite. But they live in a very built-up area,
Sure.
which is why I think if you go to the outback, you can see some cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
find some stuff out there.
Yeah.
So, on that note too, where's your favorite place you've traveled to?
Um, Equally
Yeah.
Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, equally Australia. I think the lifestyle out there it was quite chilled out. I mean, we were on holiday vacation, so we didn't have to get up to work or anything. But everyone just seemed so chilled out and so happy. And I'd go to the gym there, and everyone would kind of welcome you in, and you just felt so peaceful there, I suppose, and just cool, and everyone was so helpful, and as soon as they they as soon as they see you, not in a wheelchair or anything, but as soon as they see you, they kind of greet you like hello, and you can find a friend in Australia, I think, very easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a good friend that lives I think he's in Brisbane now.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, he messaged me through all this. We talk not that much, but he messaged me through during COVID, and he was like, he was just watching what was happening in the States, and he's like, dude, it's like, you got to get over here, man. This is your place. Like, it's just
Yeah.
so much more chill. It's so relaxed. And I remember, I mean, we were on a tour together in shit like 2016, and I remember going into a sporting goods store, and there were guns in there, and he was like, "What the fuck is this, dude?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the way it is here." And he just
Yeah.
goes, "Dude, I had no idea. I've never even seen these before."
Yeah, you kind of think that it'd be in a movie or something that you just see that, but
Yeah,
yeah, I've never been in a shop and saw any guns or anything.
yeah,
I've been in the wrong neighborhood if I have.
right. But yeah, so I'm with you. I think when I get to Australia, I'll have a tough time getting back out.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it'll be one of those where I'll feel pretty home there.
yeah. But I went to New York City with my wife a few years ago, and the worry was that they weren't going to be disabled friendly, but
Sure.
they were very disabled friendly. I was very surprised, and I didn't expect that at all. Everyone was helpful with taxis, or I didn't know you could just ride up in a taxi with your
Mm.
wheelchair, just go straight in. And we went to the Empire State Building, and there's steps to get in, so I was a bit pissed off, to be honest. And then the guy was like, "No, no, no, just come with me." And he took us around the celebrity entrance and things like
Perfect.
that. So he gave us our own private tour. So yeah, New York
Awesome.
was a very accessible and great place. But I
Yeah.
feel like I've been there and done that now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is one of the cities in the States that does well with that.
Yeah, yeah,
Even so, which is strange because the architecture is still old and the buildings are old, but
yeah,
it is very accessible. I've
yeah,
found, because there's other places I've been in the States that it's tough to get
yeah,
around.
yeah.
Um, that's awesome. All right. two more questions for you, and then yeah. What would you want the world to know about you, Dave?
So I would love the world to know that I didn't stop what I wanted to do. That my disability didn't stop me from trying to achieve greatness, albeit different greatness, and it shouldn't stop anyone. Um, there are different, like I said, there are different paths to get to where you want to go. So I definitely stayed on a path. I might have slipped off it a little bit, taken the wrong exit, but I still always tried to do what I wanted to do. Not just for me. I mean, I joke about my kids and that. I say I don't like them, but I do. I think they're okay.
Yeah.
But for the family as well, I'd like them to kind of think of me like that. I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, man. I mean, yeah. This whole conversation has been very, very amazing, and I've just loved your openness about it and educating me on it. And
Yeah, I think that's the only way for people to learn is to for people to talk about their experiences. So
yeah,
if I can help people with whatever they're going through, or even just understand it a bit more for other people, then yeah, I'm game for I'm an open book
yeah.
basically. Yeah.
And on that note, you started a podcast recently, right?
Yeah. I started a podcast. It's called the Talking Bull Talks. So my name in strongman is the Sitting Bull. So I was kind of I didn't want to change too much, so I just changed sitting to talking. I still sit, but I just sit and talk now rather than just sitting. But
Yeah.
yeah. The podcast is to showcase disabled sports and adaptive sports and the athletes in the sports. We've spoken to some incredible people already. I've only released 2 episodes. One was with an ex-soldier who got shot in the leg and had to have his leg amputated above the knee, and he's now playing professional um, bloody what are they what
Football?
bit of work. It is football, but it's with crutches.
Oh, okay.
Amputee football, that's it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
professional amputee football, soccer, with which is amazing. He's done everything he's done, he's excelled in, and his message is that he's done it for his boys to show the same reason I did. And we've spoken to a wheelchair bodybuilder who was in an accident when he was 17. A storm part. He's from Indianapolis. A storm passed through his town and knocked a tree down and knocked him out,
Oh,
and he was paralyzed. And straight away his mindset was switched on to, I'm gonna do whatever I can to get out there and do what I want to do. And he did. He's killing it. He's a professional bodybuilder. And the next episode we're actually releasing on Tuesday. And I think this is this person inspires me the most. She is a 17-year-old girl from well, originally Russia. She was born in Russia, but when she was born with a condition that meant her joints didn't align properly. So her legs it only affected her lower limbs. So her legs weren't in the right position. So she was struggling to walk her whole life. But she was adopted. She was put up for adoption the day she was born, and a family in America adopted her and brought her back over to the States. And when she lived her life on crutches, and when she was 14 years old, the doctors said her best chances of mobility is to lose both her legs, and she had to make that decision. Her parents helped her, but she ultimately, it was down to her. They kind of said, this is you, and she took that decision. And now she plays sled hockey for the women's USA team, and she's
amazing.
actually, at 17 years old, she's actually training for selection for the Paralympics in Nordic skiing, and
Wow.
her message is incredible, and just the little things that I took away from that interview that I well, when you see a person with walking sticks, you assume the only thing disabled is their legs, but actually their arms and their hands are disabled as well, because they become the mobility aids to, so you're not walking with your legs, you're walking with your hands, and you haven't got your hands free. So when she the first time she went out walking on her prosthetic legs, she had her hands free. She didn't know what to do with her hands because
Sure.
she'd never had hands free. So it's just little messages like that that I love the podcast for. I love what I started doing, and it was my main aim is to get people in disabled sports, because that's how we're going to get the recognition for these incredible athletes, for this
Yeah.
incredible sports. And I actually had a message off somebody today that they said, on the back of listening to Bradley's interview, which was the wheelchair bodybuilder, they've signed up for a disability class in bodybuilding in their category. So, I wasn't sure if anyone was ever going to listen to it, but
Sure.
it's clearly doing what I set out to do. And we're only 2 episodes in, so
That's amazing.
it's great. And I'm meeting some incredible people out there that I'm so grateful for them for saying, yeah, they'll come along. And I would have never met them if coronavirus didn't happen.
Right.
So, because I would have never took the time to think about doing a show,
Yeah.
um, and that's it. Really, I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
So that's my blessing for coronavirus, I guess. And yeah, you can catch it every Tuesday. We release a new episode. There's going to be some cool shit.
Yeah. And I'll put it in the show notes because I want to promote it.
Yeah, thanks.
I saw the video of amputee football and I was just thinking, holy shit, dude. That
Yeah.
is unbelievable.
Yeah, and there's sports out there I didn't even know existed. There's wheelchair American football,
Hmm.
which I didn't know that was a thing. Wheelchair
It-
baseball, I didn't know that was a
wow.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even
Amazing.
that 17-year-old girl Lira I was talking about, she amputee surfs. So she takes her prosthetics off and just surfs with the stump she has left. It's amazing.
That's so cool, dude.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that. And I'm the same. I mean, I would not have started into this podcast without coronavirus happening.
yeah,
Same. I wouldn't have had the time. I wouldn't have taken the time. I would have had the time. I wouldn't have taken the time. And
yeah,
then I wouldn't have met the amazing people that I have. And that's what I love about this is I get to take away so much from speaking with you. And then anybody listening gets to hear your story too, which is so rad. And yeah, I just I love the connection and the ripples that we can put out in the world with this
yeah.
this avenue.
Yeah,
So
as
very
bad
cool.
as it's been, there's been some silver linings, and I think this is one of them.
Yeah, for sure. All right, brother. Last one. If you had the ear of everybody in the world, what would you say to them?
Oh gosh, I would say to them to think about what your peers are doing. I mean, you don't have to go out there assuming everybody's the same. People are struggling on the inside that you don't know about. Um, Equally, just take time to talk to each other. Just take time to listen to each other. Just you don't have to like everyone, but it'd be helpful to be friendly to everyone, to be nice. I think there's some nice people in the world, and I think these people need recognition, and they need people to be nice back to them. And with an equality point of view, I mean, I think the world is going in the right direction, but we're not there yet. We still got a lot of work to do, whether it's on disability inclusion, or LGBTQ inclusion. We still got a way to go, and I think we need to work together to get that to get to that position. But we'll get there, man. We'll stick with us. It's a
Yeah.
long journey. I mean, we'll get there, but let's all work together to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to stop that mission. Well, brother, it has been so fantastic to chat with you. I've been looking forward to meeting you and hanging with you. So I appreciate your time, and yeah, this has been awesome.
That's cool, man. I appreciate you having me on, and thanks for spreading the awareness and yeah, thanks for doing what you're doing. It's great.
Yeah, yeah, you as well, dude.
Yeah,
Cool.
man. We'll get there. We'll get
Yeah, we will.
there.
All
Yeah.
right, dude. Cheers, brother.
Cool. All right. Catch you soon, mate.
All right, bye. Thank you for listening to the Beautifully Human podcast. To hear more beautiful stories from beautiful humans, follow us on Spotify and rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at the Beautifully Human Podcast. Peace signs up.